What's good, YouTube? Finally trying to get into this update video, update the channel on everything that's new. So I'm gonna try to show everything that I got going on right now, and kind of run through all the new setups and everything, and update on all the things that we got going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and start here. Everyone knows about the fish tank, the saltwater tank. That is still going strong. I got a whole new setup that I kind of like. Finally have had these fishes in here for a few years without any casualties. So I think the setup that I finally got going is something that works for me. It's obviously working for the fishes, and I will, in other videos, go ahead and show what the filtration system I got set up and what my maintenance schedule and everything is finally come down to. I kind of like it. I'm not doing a whole lot of water changes as was normally recommended, but the filtration and the lighting and everything I got going on seems to be sufficient enough to handle the tank. Again, this is a fish only tank. There is no corals in here, which makes it a lot easier. And I don't have it overstocked. I just have the two clownfish and the two damsels in there, and another one that's not showing up. But oh, bicolor Billy, something like that. So the tank is doing all right. It's all set up. Let's go into the blue room and I will show what has changed over here, because there's lots of changes in the blue room. And the last video I had, that was not done. It's still not done. It's about 3/4 of the way done now. The DIY rack enclosures, and then my computer system was along this wall over here. That's been moved to be kind of a peninsula in the room, so that I can have my wife's workstation over there, and then my workstation on this side over here. So it kind of works out pretty neat. And then, so how this kind of works out as far as the I don't know, the arrangement of the room is kind of neat. So I have my workstation right here, and then I have all my enclosures literally right behind me. So what it turns out is that when I'm working and I'm on a call or a meeting, this right here is the view that everyone on my meetings get. So while I'm working, I work from home most of the time, well, all the time now. So when I'm working from home and I got to get on a Zoom call or any sort of video meeting, I will put up my camera. It'll look like this, and this will literally be the background for my work. And it's kind of awesome, because every single time I get on a call with someone that's new, who hasn't met me before, or I haven't talked to before, this becomes sort of an icebreaker, because it's always a very glaring question. It's like, what do you got going on behind you? And it's like, okay, I'm into all these reptiles and animals, and I got vivariums and terrariums and all that kind of setup stuff. So it becomes a really cool icebreaker, and kind of, you know, lets me get into my meetings and calls very fluidly, and kind of, you know, sets the pace. So I'm very much so enjoying this new setup that I got going on. So that's basically my workstation, and behind my workstation I have all my hobbies. So it's pretty cool. I like it. As far as what we got going on, let's see if I can switch around. I will go ahead and switch the camera. And there we got it. So the very first newcomer to the room is this guy here, bearded dragon. Pretty common pet in the pet trade. He is now in this spot above Tortwig. So Tortwig is still on the tortoise table here. And now above him, Blue's old cage. This is Blue's old cage. I took off this panel here and I made this cage into a front-facing sliding door kind of opening situation. And that is where I have Rango now. And Rango is let me see if I can get this morph right. I'm not too big into morphs. Morphs has never really been my thing, but this guy was cool. I liked him. And so I picked him up at a pet store about an hour and a half away. And I think he is a red leatherback dunner, I believe. I believe it's a red leatherback dunner. He's freaking awesome. And one of the reasons I didn't have he's very, I wouldn't say tank aggressive, but he eats a lot. So if he thinks you're food, he's gonna eat. But as soon as you take him out, he's totally chill. He's not aggressive once you take him out at all, but he will snap at you if he thinks you're gonna give him food. So you kind of have to like let him know that you're not feeding him. And once you know that he's not feeding, Jesus. Oh my gosh, he's hungry. Nope, nope, he's gonna bite everything. My Lanta. You are aggressive today. Why are you being so aggressive? All right, he's being way too aggressive today. He's usually never like that. I'll show him in another video being a lot more chill. He's being a butthead for the camera. I've taken him out. I've had him pretty much on my shoulder while I go to my son's baseball game, Julian's baseball games. He'll hang out with me while I'm working. But I fed him a whole lot yesterday, so I haven't fed him yet today. So it's probably why he's a little more aggressive than usual. So, but yeah, he'll chill out. Over here, I have oh, there he is. A bumblebee dart frog. And this is the dart frog vivarium that I got set up. This was a new project that I wanted to try and see if I can set up an bioactive vivarium that was planted. And I took this old fish tank that I had and kind of converted it over to a vivarium. The one thing I wish I would have done is the same thing I did over here, which is make the glass front facing. But kind of but there's kind of benefits and downsides to that. When you're feeding these guys fruit flies, it's very difficult to maintain those fruit flies in the tank. They will literally escape the tank. That's why you see this tape around here, around the borders of the lid, to make sure that those fruit flies stay in the tank. So if I did end up doing a setup like this, all those fruit flies would just escape from here immediately. That's one thing I kind of want to work on. I want to do another vivarium to get and get different dart frogs, but I do want to make sure that I get a setup that both looks nice, functions well, and also make sure that all of my fruit flies and everything stays in the tank. So this was my first attempt at a planted vivarium for a dart frog. The plants seem to be growing buck wild in there, and I have to trim them out quite a lot. the moss and the algae. It grows along the front of the wall, so there's lots of cleaning that I'm always having to do. But I've very much so enjoyed it. It was a blast creating this tank. I'll definitely be creating another one in the future. Hopefully a little bit better. And if not, hopefully functionable at the very least. And then we come to the DIY rack system. So this is the DIY rack system that I was building in the series. And before that series kind of got cut off, it was not this far along. So now, let me show you what I got going on in here. This third from the bottom, well, let me start down here. This bottom one right here, where you just see a bunch of just random stuff in there, is going to be Rango's upgraded cage. So Rango will be upgraded from this enclosure to that enclosure. This enclosure here will get too small for him. It's already getting to that point. He's kind of big already now. So he will be outgrowing this fairly soon. So I will be moving him down there relatively soon. So that's kind of one of my next projects to work on here relatively soon, is to get him moved there. And then I have a free tank here that will have to be occupied by something new. Above that one, I have Piper's cage. Piper is my normal morph ball python, and he's probably inside of that log right now. And most people might think that this is way too big of an enclosure for a ball python, and yeah, I've had multiple discussions online with a bunch of different Facebook groups and a bunch of different arguments. This is working fine for me. I think that Piper is having a good time in this tank, and that he's living it up just fine. I did have Piper previously in a tank this size, and he would basically take up everything that you see in my hand right here, and he would move from this side to that side, back to this side, and he wasn't able to fully stretch, and his water bowl had to be big, so he basically had no real estate at all. Whereas here, I'm able to maintain a greater variance in temperature and humidity, where it's much drier on this side of the enclosure with Reptibark as my substrate, and I have my lights and my heaters over here with Reptibark as the substrate. And then on this side, I have mulch chippings as the top layer of substrate, but then under that I have coconut husk and soil mix, a mixture underneath this side of that log, and I also have moss along the wall and along the border around his water bowl as well. So this keeps this side of the tank a lot more humid than this side of the enclosure, and it helps him regulate that, where he wants that humidity to be much better. Otherwise, it was really just, a Tupperware box or something like that in there, or the entire tank was humid. Getting out of the humidity was much more difficult for him. A lot of people like to complain about the branch that I have in there. It's not very tall. It's probably about 6 or 8 inches off the ground. He uses it quite oftenly. And I've watched all the videos. I've watched, I'll see if I can post a thumbnail to it, but I've watched the people going, over to Africa and asking the questions about whether or not
ball pythons are in the trees and whether or not they're not in the trees. And look, at the end of the day, it's his option to go into the branch, to go up in the branch or not up in the branch. And he does use it every now and again, and most of the time he doesn't use it, but he will use it, he will stretch, and he will actually come out and wander around. Mostly he will do that at least nightly. Every night he'll come out and he'll wander the tank, and he'll do all kinds of figure eights and investigate and stuff like that. Sometimes I will see him occasionally just hanging up on this branch here, curled up on the branch. So he's eating, he's pooping, he's shedding good. He's fine. It's not. It's funny when I have these conversations around ball pythons in this tank. So they live outside. I'm pretty sure he'll be all right. I'm providing him all the other necessities that he needs. And this top one here, let me see if I can get this lighting out. There we go. This top or middle enclosure here is Valentina's enclosure. Now her enclosure is a lot taller than Piper's, and she has 2 branches to crawl around. And as a Colombian rainbow boa, she hangs out less on her branch than Piper does. So go figure. She will actually crawl around the whole place, and she will actually utilize everything, but she won't hang out on a branch almost never. She'll use them, she'll climb the branches and move around and whatnot, but she won't actually hang out on a branch like Piper will. And let me show you her. That's a fake plant. That dead one came from this other tank over here. I just dropped it there. And then I have that's a mister. That right there is a misting system that I use to keep her right side of her enclosure nice and humid as well too. So there she is. She refuses to use any of the hides I have provided her. I made her this hide, and she has that hide, and she will either hide under the water bowl, go figure, or behind that mister. So if she wants humid, she'll go behind the mister for humidity, and she'll go under, typically she's under the big water bowl. So I pulled out some plants from here and here that were dying off on me that didn't do so well. They kind of got root bound by the small pots that I made. So I got to get a different type of either plant or some more mosses or something like that to fill up those smaller pots. I tried some really big bromeliads in there, and that was a failure. So I don't have a green thumb. I'm trying to improve on my planting etiquettes, but this one is doing okay. These 2 were complete failures for the planting side of things, so I'm still trying to improve that side. All right, moving on up, and we have the final enclosure of this room, and that is Old Krusty. Now, Old Krusty is a Euromastix. Let me see if I can bring him out, because he goes to sleep nice and early. There he is. And there is my yellow Euromastix. So he's a new addition to the blue room as well. And this guy is not tamed or friendly by any means, but Euromastics don't bite. So the good thing about these guys is they will only tail whip you and bunt you with their heads. They won't actually try to bite you at all. But he does not like to be picked up at all. He's not socialized. He doesn't want to be socialized. And frankly, he doesn't need to be socialized. I don't much care for having old Krusty be a socialized lizard. Generally because he doesn't bite, so I don't have to worry about if I need to move him. I need him to be socialized in order for me to move him without getting bit. They don't typically bite regardless, so if I need to move him, I can move him and take him out of that enclosure and he won't typically bite. He'll just tail whip or run around. And they don't really like to be held that much, so I don't want to stress him out by trying to tame him down and forcing him into being socialized. So I just leave him be. I enjoy seeing him in the enclosure running around, eating, being grumpy. He'll tap his head on the window. And he's a cool pet to look at and whatnot. So not planning on taming old Krusty. He's good the way he is. That's one of the real cool things I like about Euromastics is that they don't tend to bite. Unlike these guys, if you don't tame these guys, they will be biters, and they can be pretty aggressive biters if they're not tamed. Unfortunately, this little butthead is being a butthead. So maybe I'll feed him later some more and then take him out. All right. So that's about it for the blue room. Let me do this. All right, guys. So that's all the updates that we have in the blue room. We have old Krusty, the Euromastics, that's new, the new bearded dragon, and the new dart frog. Oh, also before I forget, we also got a teddy bear hamster. The kids got a little teddy bear hamster in here as well too. So can't forget about that guy. He's an absolute cutie and an escape artist. He's escaped on us 4 times out of that thing, and he has been caught running around literally the house. He has made it from this room all the way across the living room, across the kitchen, into the pantry with 3 cats in the house, and all 3 cats were on his tail the entire time. And just in the pantry, just sitting there watching him. We walk in the pantry, and there he is in the corner of the pantry just looking up, like startled, as if he hadn't already made the journey all the way there. And then twice we found him in our bedroom. Again, the cats, at least 1 or 2 of the cats were there, just kind of staring at him going, what the heck? I thought the guy was dead every time. I was like, these cats are going to just kill him as soon as he gets out of that thing. And all they ever do is just watch him run around. So that's pretty hilarious. So anyways, that's all the updates that we have in the blue room. Those are the new animals that I got. And that's what I got going on in here. However, as I mentioned, I'm kind of expanding my little hobby, and I got other things going on now in the backyard. I haven't been able to expand or do anything in the backyard up until now, but that has changed, and I will show you why. So, all right, let me flip this camera around one more time. All right, I actually ran out of space, so as you can see, I'm finishing this video at a different time. But let's go ahead and show what it is we got going on outside. Here is part of our new adventure that we've been taking on. As you can see, we got a raised garden bed, some banana plants over there, some papaya stuff over there, and that is where our pool used to be, and a trampoline, and now it's just a seating area, a nice little patio seating area. And then we have this little enclosure here. So what do we got going on in here? This is for one of our new additions, and he is an African spur-thighed tortoise. And let's show this guy here. And there he is in all his glory. Alright, so this fella's name is Spur of the Moment. Literally named him Spur of the Moment because he was just indeed that, a spur of the moment. So how we came about this little fella is pretty interesting. Me and my wife were taking a run around a pond, and my wife noticed, Elena noticed that these two individuals were taking this tortoise and putting him in the lake. And as we got closer, she was actually the one that was keeping an eye on it, and noticed that it was actually a tortoise and not a turtle. And these two individuals obviously didn't know any better, and they were trying to put this fella about a foot deep into the water. So when she told me, she was like, hey look, I think that's a tortoise, not a turtle. I looked over, and sure enough, I went over there and I pulled him out of the water. And when I pulled him out of the water, obviously I politely let them know to, when they find a tortoise like that, to just put them near a body of water. They don't have to put the turtle or tortoise inside the water. They'll go in on their own. But yeah, so after I pulled him out, I took a look at him and I realized he was not native to Florida, that this was not a Florida native tortoise. So either he was a pet that got released or a pet that got lost. In either case, I took him home and I checked online to see if anyone on any of the local group channels were missing any tortoises, or if anyone was looking for one. And I couldn't find anyone missing any tortoises or looking for one on any of the channels, so I decided to keep him. And he was living in our kitchen for quite a while, until I was able to get this outside little enclosure set up for him. And you can see he's thinking I'm feeding him, so he's coming out. I ain't got nothing for you right now, Bubba. Yeah, so he's about 9 pounds. He did have some damage to his shell right here. That was pretty, I wouldn't say completely raw or new, but it was somewhat recent. So I put some stuff on there for him for that, and then kept him inside for a few months. He was inside for quite a little while before I brought him out here. I wanted to make sure that his shell was going to heal up okay, and that he wasn't going to get infected. So I kept him inside for a while, and then I wanted to make sure I had something. I didn't have any predators, that he was actually big enough to be outside. I do have raccoons and stuff like that. So once I verified that he should be all right living outside, I went ahead and set up this little enclosure for him. As you can see, he's been out here about, I want to say 2.5, 3 months now. He's been out here, and he's literally torn up all the grass. All this was full of grass. It looked just like the rest of the yard, and you can see he completely ate all of it. So I will be doing some modifications to this enclosure of his, and opening it up so that he can have the whole yard to roam. My goal is to give him the entire yard. Close this back up. My goal is to give him the entire yard to roam and scavenge around. But yeah. So because we got this guy and we decided to keep him, I knew he had to be held outside. I wasn't gonna have something inside the house big enough to house him. So that is why I was able to expand outside of my little spare room into the backyard. And once that happened, one of the things that we were talking about is the necessity to be in the backyard quite often, enough to take care of him. If you don't have a reason to be in the yard, you don't typically go out in the yard. So if you're not actively engaged, or you don't have a hobby that takes you into the backyard, then there's no real reason for you to be back there. So we wanted to get into some other things, and one of those other things was planting some greens. We do like to eat healthy when we can, and having some greens and having a little garden encourages that good healthy eating lifestyle. So we're not missing some red ones in this little cherry one. I wonder if they got plucked or if someone came around and took them. But anyway, so yeah, so we got a raised garden bed here. Got a little owl to keep some of the predators away. So here we have cherry tomatoes. We have some green peppers. We have regular tomatoes being grown here. We got some basil, some peppermint, and some romaine lettuce. Those romaine lettuce look pretty sad right now, but as soon as they get watered, I haven't watered anything today, so they'll get some water here later. They'll actually stand up nice and bright and crisp up a little bit. So yeah. All right, so which brings us almost to the next last thing here. We have a fence down, and that's because of the hurricane. The hurricane blew down that fence and blew down the fence in the back, but we got that one replaced, and we're still waiting on that one. We got a blueberry bush over here, so we got that raised garden bed, banana plants, papaya plant, blueberry bush, and over here in the corner we have a grapevine. That's our little grapevine. All right, so we decided to get into the whole gardening, right? Partly because we wanted to be in the backyard more, take more use of our backyard, and spend more time back here. And so one of the things we wanted to do was get into the gardening stuff, and you know, have some nice greens that even the tortoise can munch on, and be out here and spend some time with him. So in the same vein, one of the funny things that ended up happening was well, let me say this differently. One of the animals I've always wanted that I have not been able to get is a bird. The wife never really wanted birds in the house. She thought they were loud, messy, and just kind of more continuous maintenance than the reptiles. So one of the things Elena was always saying was, you can do anything you want in the blue room, get any reptiles you want in the blue room, but no birds. She just didn't want birds in the house. So funny thing, we're working out here in the garden area, and we're setting up the tortoise pen. We're putting all these plants together, and she mentions it would be nice to have some eggs. So we're gardening, getting our own food. And the idea was it'd be nice to have your own eggs and get some chickens. Well, my thought was, well, a chicken is a bird. And I never really thought that that I would want a chicken as a bird, as a pet bird. I kind of was thinking, the common pet birds that you would get, a parrot, cockatoo, one of those. But I knew I wasn't ever getting one of those types of birds. So when the wife said, oh, let's get a pair of chickens, I was like, bet, I'm on board. Let's do this. And sure enough, that's exactly what we did. So we ventured on and built this entire chicken coop. Here it is. I will give you the tour now. So we built this took us a little over a month to build. So we got a little egg box here, egg laying boxes right in here. These are some solar lights, so they come on at night. These are vented windows. Since we do live in Florida, they get hot. Chickens do very well in the cold. They do very, very, very well in the cold. They do less well in the heat. So they need good ventilation, good wind. So we got some open windows there. We got open windows here. And then the roof on the inside here, let me see if I can get you a view on the inside. The entire roof is open. It's an open roof. And that is to allow the air circulation to go in there. And for that breeze to circulate through. Alright, we got some plants hanging on the door here. This entire front door opens. That entire front door opens all the way up to the bottom to allow for easy cleaning. I got some a gutter. Boy, recording in Florida is difficult. Camera turned off due to the heat. Alright, so back at it again here. Chicken door opens pretty wide. Got a gutter system up there set up to a water collection system, which is not completed yet. Right now I just got the PVC piping there, tested the fitting for sizing and stuff like that. So it's not completed. We're not actually using any of the water that we're collecting right now just yet. But that's the goal, is to kind of collect some of that water, because we got that roof which leans under that top one up there. So that's a lot of surface area. That it rained only once since I've got the 55 gallon set up, and that one rain filled it up about a third of the way. So being in Florida, it rains a lot. That's a lot of surface area. This small little gutter right here is gonna collect quite a bit of water. All right, so let me come in here and show you the inside. In here, we got a little door. I still got to set that up so that I can open that up from the outside. That little contraction that I got set up right there is just temporary. We want to get an automated door, but again, as you can see right down here, I'm still not even finished sanding that down and painting that. This whole piece here might come off if I get the automated door, which we want to get, that will open and close this on sun up and sundown. And there is our first girl. That would be Regina. And the one behind her is Marilyn. So what we have in here right now is Marilyn and Regina. And And there is a real big backstory to why those are the only chickens in the coop right now. Because those are not the only chickens that we have. So let me show you on the inside here. Close that up. Open this one. And here we have, and pardon the mess, I need to get a scraper for this. This is just terrible the way to do that. And that one's even worse because they stand up on here and poop on there. Yeah, but I got the small one here was just so that they would hop up. But I gotta put it further away so they don't keep pooping on it. All right, so here we have Regina and Marilyn. So here's this, as the story goes, we got 4 chickens, 2 barred rocks, and 2 blue lace wyanodites, or wyanodite, I'm not sure how you pronounce them. So these were supposed to be the wyanodites, blue lace wyanodites, and then we were supposed to have 2 barred rocks. We got these 4 chickens from Tractor Supply, and apparently none of the chickens that we got were what they were described to be. These 2 chicks here actually look like cream leg bars. I believe that's how you pronounce it, leg bars. And not actually wyanodites. And then the other 2 barred rocks, turns out that they're not actually barred rocks neither. So the chicken community is very different from the reptile community. I learned that fairly quickly. The breeding structure isn't as, I don't know what you would call it, specific. So you may not always get what you're paying for when it comes to a chicken. All right, so why do we have 2 in and 2 out? So Marilyn here, unfortunately, I'm not sure, is healing from a neck injury. So the other 3 girls, and she's actually healing quite well. You can't even tell right now where that injury is on her. But the other 3 girls attacked her while they were trying to sort out their petting order and basically destroyed her neck. She was on her deathbed, and we almost just counted her out because she was very young at the time, and she was missing half of her neck. Literally, the back half of her neck was completely gone. All the meat down to the bone was just completely ripped open. We ended up feeling bad and taking her to Blue Pearl emergency room, and had a nice little $300 pet visit, which my father thinks is absolutely hilarious. My father being from Puerto Rico, he was like, "You spent $300 on a $2 chicken?" He goes, "That would have been a chicken nugget in anywhere else in the country." But these were not, we didn't buy these chickens merely as egg-laying chickens or meat chickens. They were also kind of pets. So it's kind of what I was telling everyone is, you know, once your pet has a name, it pretty much takes on a much different significance. So Marilyn was injured, and we decided to take Marilyn to the vet. And so I'm happy with that we did that. I'm still, I don't regret it one bit. She healed up nicely. She's doing great. But the problem with that was we had to keep her away from the flock for about 2.5 to 3 months. So she was by herself inside the house with us in a brooder system for a very long time, and they got disassociated. So once she started to heal up and we brought her back out here to rejoin the other two girls, other three girls, they did not like her. They immediately started pecking at her again and just started fighting. And we knew that, you know, we couldn't allow her to just try to survive the brutal attacks she was getting. So what we did was we separated the two most aggressive birds, which were the barred rocks, and left her with the one she was most friendly with from the beginning, which was Regina. So we left her and Regina in here to reassociate themselves and get comfortable, let her get comfortable in the chicken coop. And then what we decided to do was bring the other two girls back into the chicken coop one at a time and allow them to reassociate a little bit slower. So that's the process that we're in right now. So now let me go show you what we got going on inside with the brooder systems. And I'll do some more videos on this chicken coop and explain what we got going on here and more details in later videos to come. But let me go show you what we got going on inside. All right. All right, and we are back. And this, my friends, are the brooder systems that we have set up. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, and 3 brooder systems set up. And I told you I had 2 chickens in here, which were barred rocks. So in here we have Bertha and Darla. So Bertha and Darla were the more aggressive chickens that were previously in the chicken coop that were attacking Marilyn. So Bertha and Darla are now in here separated in their own bins. I have them separated in their own bins to kind of further that whole disassociating concept. And also, they don't really fit in one bin, so they were just going to be in 2 bins regardless. But I kind of like the idea that they don't see each other, so that when I reintroduce the least aggressive of these two, so Bertha's like the top of the food chain. She takes no crap from nobody. She will be at the top of the food chain. And when I put her back out there, she'll find her way back to the top of that food chain again. Darla is confident. She doesn't take crap from no one either, but she tends to follow Bertha for the most part. So whatever Bertha does, she'll do. And so she was also very aggressive towards Marilyn. So I will reintroduce Darla into the chicken coop first by herself, see how that goes, and then I will come around and reintroduce Bertha. But then we have this bin right here. And in this bin, we actually have 2 more chickens. So we actually have a total of 6 chickens. We started with 4, and now we're instantly gone up to 6. Reasons why we did that was several different reasons. One, when we took these 2 girls out, one of the things I was thinking was, if I get 2 smaller girls, raise them up real quick, because these chickens grow real fast, and introduce those 2 girls into the coop with Marilyn as smaller chickens, but still increase the number of that flock, they won't be big enough or aggressive enough to fight off Marilyn, but they'll increase that flock so that when I do reintroduce the 2 aggressive ones, um, they won't be all ganging up on one chicken, and that is the goal, is to not have a group of 3 or 4 chickens all piling on to one chicken. And that was the problem we had with Maryland, and that's kind of what I'm trying to avoid. The other reason we got these 2 girls was because they are actually Americanas, and Americanas will lay different colored eggs. So the 4 chickens that we got will lay regular brown, large brown eggs. These 2 girls will lay either green or blue eggs. So they're also called Easter eggers. So they're called Americana. The breed is Americana, but they're also called Easter eggers because of the color of the eggs that they lay. Now, ironically enough, the 2 girls that I got out in the chicken coop right now were supposed to be blue lace Wyandottes, which lay brown eggs, but they actually look like cream leg bards, which actually might lay pink or blue eggs as well too. So we don't actually really know what kind of eggs we're gonna get from the 2 girls outside. So we might have a variety of different colored eggs, which is awesome, but it doesn't really matter what color the eggs are for us too much. But yeah, so let me show you the girls that we got here now, starting with Darla. So if I open up this thing right here. She'll come out right away. Okay. You're next. You're next. Come on, girl. Alright, she's being a little shy, so we'll go ahead and get her. And this, my friends, is Darla. Now, as I mentioned outside, we bought her as a barred rock, and I'll try to put in a picture of what a barred rock looks like, but it does not look like her. So based off of the color of her feet and the darkness around her neck, we think she might be in the same class or the same type of breed as a barred rock, which I think is, and I forget the name, is some sort of rock. Plymouth Rock, I think it's called. Yeah. So barred rock, I think, is like, in the reptile community, it's kind of like a morph of a Plymouth Rock. The barred rock would kind of be like a morph of the Plymouth Rock or a subbreed. And this chicken here, I believe, is a blue sapphire Plymouth. A Plymouth blue sapphire rock. I don't know how that really works, but she does look like a blue sapphire. So we purchased her as a barred rock, but definitely not a barred rock at all. I gotta check to make sure that this is still loose. Yeah, it's still loose. And since we've had these chickens inside for so long, they're fairly friendly. A lot of chickens won't just chill with you like this, but our 4 girls, her, Bertha, and Marilyn, will definitely kind of just chill out with you, because those 3 spend a lot of time inside of these brooders in
inside the house with us. This is actually in our bedroom. So being in our bedroom, they spent a lot of time with us, and therefore they've gotten very comfortable around people. Still not so comfortable, as you can see. They're still chickens, but very friendly, very friendly. Now these two girls in here are maniacs, and they are not as friendly. We didn't spend nearly as much time trying to condition these girls as much as the first group that we got. So those are maniacs. I'll take those out in a minute. But this girl is precious. And they're not parrots or cockatiels, but I am still loving having these little raptors in the house. They got really big claws and talons, much bigger than I would expect, you know, any kind of pet bird that I would have been able to get. Very big, heavy birds. So yeah, I'm super happy with them. And free eggs. We eat a lot of eggs. So that's like double whammy for me. All right, let's get you back in here. We still got a lot of girls to go through. Yeah. There you go. There you go. All right. All right. Next up is Bertha. And you'll see very quickly what I mean about the confidence level with Bertha. Watch this. There we go. Come on, girl. Come on, girl. Come on. You coming out? There you go. Woo. Dusty. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. There we go. There we go. And this, my friends, is Bertha. She's an awesome little chicken. I'll make sure she doesn't try to peck out my eyeballs, though. They do peck quite often. I keep getting nervous that she's gonna end up being a rooster. But so far the internet has told me she's still a chicken. She's not a rooster. And as you can see, her colors are pretty much the same as Darla. So definitely not a barred rock. What was that? What was that? And you can see how chill she is as well too. All right. Cool. All right. So that is Bertha. I'm gonna put her back. There we go. Although she probably won't want to go back.
nearly as easily as the other one. I got that there so she won't escape through this. She will actually jump out of anything that she gets the chance to. So I kind of don't like it because it gets dusty, but that's just because of the bedding that they kick up all the time. I cannot wait to get these girls all outside. All right, and then last but not least, the crazies. I forget, one of their names is Jackie and the other one is Harley. Because they're crazy chicks, they got Jackie and Harley. Alright. And chances are I'm gonna have to wrangle these girls. Girls coming out. Yep, that's Harley. And then Jackie usually follows Harley. I'm not sure if she's gonna. There she comes. And there's Jackie. Here's, there is Jackie and Harley. They look very different to each other. Beautiful birds. Very, very beautiful birds. We bought both of these as Americanas. I'm waiting for them to probably get like another 2 weeks bigger, 2 weeks older. And then I'll post some pictures of them up online just to see if I did indeed get Americanas. The first 4 chicks I got from Tractor Supply. And so they are not very reliable in terms of breeds. I got these from a different location. So I'm hoping these birds are more accurate to the description that I paid for. But we'll see what that turns out to be. They like to run around in pairs. And that's Jackie and Harley. So I got 3 brooder systems in here right now for these girls. And so let me see. These girls here are about 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks younger than these. So we got those 2 girls 3 weeks after these girls. I believe so. Or we got them a month later, but they were 3 weeks. We got them a little bit older. I'll see if I can post up some pictures in the video of how little they were when we first got all 4 of the girls. And that's everything we got going on right now, guys. So birds, reptiles, fish, veggie garden, inside the house, outside the house, brooder systems, chicken coops. It's a mess. It's a really big mess, but it's absolutely fun. I am so stoked and excited that I actually got birds. I did not think that I was actually going to be keeping birds, at least not anytime soon. I thought eventually that at some point in time I'd make a dent and I'd be able to get some birds, but I was not expecting birds
I was not expecting to be able to keep birds anytime in the near future, um, or anytime soon. So the fact that I now have 6 birds, I'm totally stoked. I'm super happy with these birds. I'm super happy to have birds and to be able to have interaction with flight bearing animals. I think that is so cool. I love all animals, and I've always been intrigued with all types of animals, which is why I got fish tanks with fishes, and I got reptiles and cats, and I've had birds as a child as well too. Um, Not that successfully, but yeah, I've always loved all these animals. So being able to keep some birds now is is freaking awesome. So I'm loving it, and I got a lot of stuff to do with them. As you see, these birds here are way too big to be in the house. Um, Although they do very well in confined spaces, they're chickens. They do very well in these small confined spaces, but I'm ready to get them outside and get the whole flock together and have a big flock of birds. One of the reasons why I'm doing this video right now is to try to get this, this piece of this stage recorded and vlogged. And then now that I got this recorded, I'll probably, within the next week or two, either get her back out into the coop or the 2 Americanas. I want to get Bertha out there last, but I want to see how big these girls get. They get fairly big fairly fast. They're not quite big enough yet, but I think maybe within a week. I might take out Darla first and just get her out of here first within like the next week or next couple of days, maybe even. Get her reintroduced to the 2 girls I got outside, and then let her acclimate for about a week. And I think by that time, in about 2 weeks time, those 2 girls might be big enough that I can put out there too. So I might get her out there very quickly, within the next couple of days, maybe even, so that I can get her acclimated with the other 2 girls. By the time she's acclimated, I can get the 2 Americanas, Jackie and Harley, out there, and then soon after they're out there acclimated, I can get Bertha back out there. The goal is to have all of these brooders out of this room as soon as possible. So I will hopefully have videos of reintroducing Darla back into the chicken coop, so that we can so that I can record what that interaction is like, what their reintroduction is like, and go from there. So there you have it, guys. That's everything that I got going on right now. Super busy. Yeah, about it, man. Stay tuned. Let me get these 2 crazies back in here. All right, come on, girls. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. No. There we go. There we go. One last look at the Americanas. Gorgeous little things. So bye. Till next time. There you girls go. There you girls go. All right, that's it. Peace.